because I think that in the beginning, especially month one, there's a lot of optimism, a lot of wishful thinking.
Yeah.
That when people are discussing these things and they're communicating all this positive energy because you like this person, you're excited about the interaction, you think the feelings are mutual, you make a lot of promises.
Right.
You say a lot of things that may or may not be a direct reflection of all the things that you're thinking of in your brain.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to give all that to a stranger in the first place.
Right.
So once these things start to unravel, once you guys start integrating your lives a little more closely, you start to nitpick a little bit.
Right.
Are these actual qualities of a person that I want? Or is everything that I experienced for the last month plus a waste of time?
Right.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Intellectual Podcast, where we're adding just a little bit of nuance to the polarizing conversations on the internet.
Yeah. Ooh.
I'm your host, Jem.
And I'm Renee.
And we are talking about month 2.
We are into month 2.
We're doing a little dating series. If you missed the first one, go check it out.
Yeah.
But we're moving on to month 2, dates 5 through 8.
Yeah.
We're not going to go really in depth into the whole dating thing that we did last time. I think the first 4 dates are more important for us to do that. But now we're just going to talk about the general consensus. Y'all had your little checkpoint. Y'all are doing what you need to do. And we are describing the limitations and the hurdles you might go through in month 2 and how to effectively maneuver these things so you can come out successful as you head over to your long-term relationship in month 2. Once again, disclaimers, right?
Yeah.
These are for people
who want to be in a relationship.
Self-actualized, speaking to people in their 20s who are seeking long-term relationships.
Yes.
These are not the flings or the hookups that people like to involve themselves in these days.
Yes,
but
that is for another time.
Another time, and again, I got you covered. Whenever
Don't
you're
worry
ready,
about it.
Whenever you're ready to listen to it,
We got you.
guaranteed. I will set y'all straight. But this one's for the hopeless romantics, for the people that have done the work, that are ready to be long term, settle down, maybe be together for the next 5 years, maybe for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, definitely. I am excited about this month. Like you said, we're exploring it more as like a concept. I honestly don't even think that I have ever passed the 4th date. I like stopped counting the dates after that. At that point, it's just like you're kind of just...
We're together. It's a thing.
Yeah, you're hanging out. You're doing your thing. You're going on dates. You're just not like, okay, this is date number 21. And
we should be doing X, Y, Z. And if we're not, then something's completely wrong.
Exactly.
Like, no, not quite. Settle down, anxious Mary. You're very cool.
Right. 100%. Though I do... Okay, so there's this tweet that I found.
I am a little nervous now, this laughter.
No, I just think it's really funny, but it's not as relevant to the episode that we are going to be doing today, but more so to the one that we did last week.
Okay, for sure.
And I just thought it was really funny. This girl, her at Rachel Cenote. I don't know how
like
to say her
cenote?
last name. Sennott. I don't know. She was one that tweeted this. I thought it was really funny.
Sure.
She said, going on a date tonight with $11 in my bank account. Let's hope he's not a feminist. LOL.
Hey, feminism works until it's working for you, isn't it?
Right,
That
exactly.
is crazy.
And then the following, she like followed up with it and was like, ha ha ha. He said in the first 3 minutes of the date, I follow you on Twitter. Don't worry, I've got you covered.
Damn. I mean, hey, feminism works as long as it's working for you.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
But it's like so funny because like how many times it's a whole other level of anxiety as a man going on a date with $11 in your bank account.
A man would never. A man could never.
We're gonna go get
Oh
some.
my
go to the taco
God.
truck, get $1 taco.
Hey, how like Taco Bell tastes like? Hey, how do you feel about McDonald's ice cream?
Yeah,
because that's all I can do right now.
No,
and
exactly.
more power to any guy that has the wherewithal, the confidence to just be straight up and like, yeah, I'm broke as hell.
I got $20 in my bank account,
and I'll make it work for us.
Right,
Exactly. Like, as a woman, would you appreciate that? Would you be like, nah, I'm good. Keep that 20.
I would be don't struggle on my behalf. Sir, please keep the $20.
Prioritize your life a little
no,
bit
literally,
differently.
like
what are you talking about?
now that's going into like,
Goodness.
are you just impulsive with financial literacy? Granted, I have zero financial literacy, so like, what am I saying, right?
Oh
I'm
my
the girl
goodness.
going on a date with $11 in my bank account, just being like, well,
We'll see what happens.
let's hope he thinks I'm pretty.
And then like also too, like if you are the girl in that situation, are you buying like the most expensive thing on the menu
Right,
just
right.
in case?
Like, well, let me get this. I would feel so bad. I don't think I'd be able to do that.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
I should the next date I go on, test that out. Just like see what they order and be like, oh, so we're splitting this, right? See how they react.
It would have to be with someone that you did not care to see again, though. Like to test
I mean,
that.
I can test and then still pay for it.
I know, but that is such a wild thing to say.
That's why.
I know. Like I'm genuinely curious, and I kind of want you to do
clearly
it.
We're doing this on my next date. We're gonna download the apps and see what happens.
And then we're going to report back to everyone. I think this will
That
be very
could be
fun.
a fun series.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
It's
like,
fun, but kind of cruel. But maybe fun. Because like that poor person who's like
they're
like
just stressed out.
right, exactly.
Like, oh, I listened to your podcast.
Right.
Is this one of those? Yeah.
That's why we have to do it now before we blow up, so we can really get the good intel. If anything, we give them a good story. You give that person a good story to tell to their friends. You cannot believe what this guy did.
Paid for your dinner. Like, well, I'm
like,
such a heartless freak. Oh my god, what's wrong with you?
Oh my
This guy
gosh.
implied that he wasn't going to pay. I don't know if he was joking or not. Well, he still paid. What's the problem?
But still, it's what you said. That's what would be wild. I would be shook if that happened to me.
When you have $11 in your bank account.
I know that would suck.
Would you start crying?
No, I don't know what I would. I don't know what I would do. Call my mom, be like, Mom, can you send me money?
Some money, please.
Oh my god.
Oh, it should never be that bad.
Oh my
Don't date until you're financially viable. Please, it's not worth it. You have different things to worry about.
Yeah.
You have very,
right.
very
If
different
you were
things to
going on
worry
dates
about.
that you could not pay for yourself, maybe you should.
That does open up another conversation, though, on how important is money. Because most people are poor.
Yeah.
48% of the country is
Right, let's-
like minimum wage or below.
Middle class is being destroyed as we speak.
So it's like, is being able to pay for dates, should it continue to be as important as it is?
Yeah. That's a good question.
I don't know. But, that's not my question
No.
for today. But that is a good question. Should I just make that our question?
I don't know. It's up to you. I didn't see what your question was.
Of course you didn't,
I'm
Renee.
sorry.
Jesus Christ. This question that I had today actually was a result of conversations I was having this past weekend with my family, with some high schoolers. They're 18, and when you're 18, you think you know everything about everything.
Yeah.
You have no perspective of the world, whatever.
Remind everyone really quick, since this is still like a fairly new thing, what we're going to be doing every single week.
Oh, yeah. I'm a person who likes to ponder things about the world. So every week I'm going to propose a new question for the audience to answer on our socials. Follow us there if you haven't. And we're going to comment little questions, whatever you guys think of the answers that we're going to be giving you. Last week we were talking about
the authority that one has, a man has, or a woman has to speak on manhood, and a woman has to speak on woman.
Can the opposite genders speak to how the other gender should behave? I don't know. I don't know. And I still don't know. I didn't actually think about answering that question. I was thinking about new questions. And this week's question I was having was a debate I was having with my little cousin, who, for the life of her, swore that women love giving men, strangers, physical compliments. And I was saying that no woman in the real world in her right mind will walk up to a stranger talking about how attractive he is or how good looking he is if he's not hitting on him, or if she's not hitting on him.
Like no woman is walking up to a guy that they do not want attention from.
Exactly. And like,
I'm sorry, especially like random on the street, in the grocery store.
Like, I in my experience, women are trying their best to
avoid
unnecessary attention from men.
100%.
Like, you're not gonna seek that out unless you want to.
Yeah.
Not to say that you need to want anything beyond that.
Yeah.
Right? But that's still hitting on someone.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Don't have to ask for their number,
You
but
can hit,
I'm pretty
you can hit
sure
on someone for hit on sake, but you're approaching them because you're hitting them.
So the question is, if a girl is approaching a random guy on the street, in the gym, whatever, and they give them a physical compliment, are they or are they not hitting on them? Mm-hmm. I think they are 100% of the time. But let me know what you guys think.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what people think,
because it sparked such a heated debate in my family. People did not want to.
Yeah, it sounds
we were
like
going
it was
in.
Like insane.
We were going in,
sounds
and
like
I was
pretty
like, "This is crazy." And
conversation.
it brought up so many different avenues, and maybe in an episode we can talk about that because that conversation in and of itself was very interesting to me.
Should have set the mics.
No, yeah. I was like, y'all wanna come on here one time? Like, please.
Oh my god.
But yeah, we'll see what the people think. Let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know. But moving right along into the conversations of today.
Yes.
Month 2 and what you should be focused on.
Month 2. I always hated month 2 when I was dating.
Really?
If I got to that. Because it's so like when you are getting into like the second month of dating someone, clearly at least from your end, you're seeing them because you really like them. Mm-hmm. And that isn't always the case in the opposite way. I don't know like how often the experiences is with guys like dating girls, and it's like very passively, but like there's just like a lot of anxiety about like, okay, now we've been like seeing one another. It's a little bit more solidified in the way of like, okay, this is now becoming a regular person that I'm seeing in my day-to-day life in like the short term. And so it's just like, you have so many, like you're so excited about it. You have so many questions.
You want it to be a thing.
Right. You want it to, like, you want to be in the future so badly. I think
the process is what it is.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah, I can see how that's stressful.
Yeah.
It's never stressed me out.
No. Well, and a part of that is like, you just gotta, and I think that's what we're going to be talking about, is like you have to sit back a little bit and let things unfold as they will. Right.
Exactly. I guess in this context too, you should have established all the things that are going to relieve that kind of anxiety, right? So maybe before, when you were dating these people, you didn't really solidify what things were before you did it. So it's like those conversations didn't have, and now we're month 5 through 8.
Yeah.
And these things just have not been talked about. So just like, oh my God.
No, this is very true. I think a mistake that I had made in the past oftentimes was not clarifying from either end whether like what I was looking for, what the other person was looking for. Also, granted, when I was dating more casually, where I wasn't looking for something serious, I never asked the question, never seeked out the answer, because I didn't care. Essentially, it was I'm dating out of a more like selfish like thing where like you cared about the person, of course, as a human being. You want to like respect that other person, and the moment that I got the sense that someone wanted more, I kind of removed myself. But I never had to ask that question because I wasn't looking for anything serious. But once you start dating more seriously, that question becomes incredibly important, and that was something that I did not do when I was
shifting.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah, but this is true. It's but I think to that point, you say, like, at the end of last episode, we talked about kind of asking these questions and kind of coming to some sort of like clarity about what the other person is looking for, and both vocalizing those things before going into like this month 2 scenario. But the thing that I think is also can also be like, I guess, anxiety inducing, or just as you're entering into this stage with someone, is that you say a lot, right? On like this first month of dating, you're saying a lot to one another, and like you're explaining verbally who you are as a human being, and this is what I like, and this is what I do, and this is who I am. Yeah. And then the more you hang out with someone, the more like experiences you're going to be having, and the more it's like, okay, now you're showing who you are and what you're about and what you want and what you want to do. There becomes more and more opportunities the more you see someone that is being shown. So I think it's kind of going into month 2 is the start of that.
Start of
showing, and not just you like the
putting your money where your mouth is.
Exactly. So I think that's also like, okay, is this going to be what we both said like we wanted?
Yeah, no, actually, that's really true. Because I think that in the beginning, especially month one, there's a lot of optimism, a lot of wishful thinking.
Yeah.
That when people are discussing these things and they're communicating all this positive energy because you like this person, you're excited about the interaction, you think the feelings are mutual, you make a lot of promises.
Right.
You say a lot of things that may or may not be a direct reflection of all the things that you're thinking of in your brain.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to give all that to a stranger in the first place.
Right.
So once these things start to unravel, once you guys start integrating your lives a little more closely, you start to nitpick a little bit.
Right.
As are these actual qualities of a person that I want? Or is everything that I experienced for the last month plus a waste of time?
Right. Right.
And I think these are the internal situations that a lot of people, namely maybe women, I don't think men go through this as aggressively as they start to kind of internalize, right? Questioning the validity of their decision. Is this a thing that is this like nuance of commitment the thing that I wanted? Or is it completely different than I was expecting?
Right, 100%. Like, I want something serious. All right, you do too. Like, let's see what it is. And it's kind of every single time you see them, it's like, is this it with this person? Okay, yes or no.
You're always second guessing.
You're always like asking the question when you're interacting with them. And I think to a degree is like good, especially in those beginning stages. You don't want to get lost in that like fantasy.
Right.
Right. But yeah, it also can like swing the opposite way where you're kind of just like hyper focusing on that question. Right.
It's a very important question. It's a very important question. And we will elaborate on why we think it comes up, right?
Yeah.
Why it's more likely to come up, especially if you're looking for a long-term relationship. But the second month isn't all gray, right?
No, it's really no. I know we kind of started it in a really like somber way. It's anxiety inducing.
No, the second month sucks.
Second month,
y'all are crazy.
Okay, honestly, in the past, sorry to not go into it even more. It sometimes could feel like a purgatory where you're kind of just trying to wait for like being. For some reason, it feels as if in my brain, and I feel like other people feel this way too, but maybe this is just me, where like the third month is kind of like dating for someone for 3 months feels like a significant like standpoint, which we'll talk about that, right?
Naturally.
So oftentimes, and I think the mistake that people can make is that you kind of exist in month 2 in this purgatory of just being incredibly hopeful and just trying to get to that like point of like, okay, 3 months we've been dating without actually taking the time to continue to like get to know the person and whatnot. And so, the hope is for everyone is that you don't do that, right? It's still like an active, which is why that question is good of like, do I still want this? Is this something I can see with this person? A serious relationship?
Constantly like qualifying the
be
interaction.
Active in that participation versus waiting for like the checkpoint of 3 months we've been dating, right? But in that, the fun part about like the second month of dating, I think is, it can be fun. Sorry, I'm so pessimistic today. I apologize, everyone. I clearly am just, look, I have a headache, side note. So that's why it's pressing on an aspect of my brain that's making me just a negative Nancy. That's what it is.
That's my job.
Yes. But I think like the second month is when two people dating kind of start integrating them into their life in a bigger way. So that's when they start introducing them to like their friends, their people that they see on like the day-to-day, the people they go out with at night and whatnot. Like
maybe
their
coworkers?
Could be coworkers, exactly. Like it could be just like, like your besties, maybe. Yeah. Like you're kind of introducing them to
the
like
roommates. If you have roommates.
Right. They'll come over to your place and they'll meet your roommates, et cetera, et cetera. Which it's interesting because when you ask people, I think people hold their friends' opinions of the people that they're dating to different degrees depending on who you're asking.
Very true, yeah.
And which is understandable, right, there's some of my friends where I would not take their dating advice.
R.I.P. to those friends. I hope we're not talking about me. That's
no,
crazy.
I'm not talking about you at all.
Oh my goodness.
Granted, they're not like they're not close enough to me for that. Maybe they're not really like much of like friends in like a real way. But I know that people kind of like hold that to different degrees. Some people don't really care at all.
Yeah.
Some people care a ton.
Do you think there's like a tier list of people that you should be introducing? Is there a tier list of people that you should be introducing this guy to as you're progressing through this month too? Like, will you introduce him to your most like close and significant friend that you have? Or are you like, these are the homies, I go like to bar with them, see what they think. If he passes that, then we'll go there. If he passes that one, then we'll continue to
go up.
Integrate him until it like actually matters?
For me, I feel like, especially when it comes to friends, I think there's no reason why you should not introduce them to like your close friends. Why not just like already kind of start integrating them in that way? Because I don't know, it doesn't seem like a big enough jump to like make a difference.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
No, that's true.
It's like it's an arbitrary rule that doesn't really, what is that actually giving you and like providing you any information? Because like what's the point of introducing someone that you're dating to your friends? You want to see whether like they get along with the people that you get along with, that they can kind of like, and not even just that they can kind of integrate socially into a group like semi well. They don't have to be, it doesn't mean they have to be the most extroverted person and integrate in like some crazy way, like be super social.
Yeah.
But just that they can integrate into a social situation, into your world, and do that comfortably and and all that good stuff. So
not be super awkward or uncomfortable. Or
not be super awkward.
Say crazy things that are pissing off your friends and whatnot. Like,
Yeah.
why is he racist all of a sudden?
Sure, right.
Like, whoa.
What is going on? What is
Okay.
happening?
Was not expecting that. But
Yeah.
you sure have great taste in men. I guess.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
No, 100%. It's to see whether, because these are people that know you really well, that you see very often, probably see more than like your family. So these people see you every day. So it's just like, can they like vibe? And you want to see that. And you also want to see that the person that you're dating is interested to get to know your people as much as they are get to know you.
That's
right?
a great point.
That's something that like it can't just
point.
be like, about you, like where they're just like, hiding behind you the whole time.
Because if they don't want to get to know your people,
Yeah.
it's a pretty sure sign that they're not really as invested as you may want them to be.
Exactly. 100%. I agree. So yeah, I feel like that's pretty like arbitrary. I don't think that really matters like at all.
Fair enough. As you're explaining it, and as I asked the question, I was like, oh yeah, wait. That just...
But people do that.
Yeah, they do.
So like it's a thing that people do, and I think you create these rules that make you feel safer about dating someone, but it actually doesn't do anything. And I think there are some good rules to have that are useful and actually effective, right? And I think that's one of those things that people will do to kind of protect themselves not for some reason.
For some weird reason.
For real reason.
Oh, what's wrong with them?
Fear of commitment, fear that someone's going to break their heart or whatever. They don't want to invest too much too quickly, and so they're overcorrecting in the opposite way. But it ultimately doesn't actually do any more or less. I think introduce the guy that you're dating, like that you've been dating for the past like 6 weeks. Introduce him to your close friends. Why not? Throw him to the wolves.
No, yeah, I'm sure. It's like if you introduce them to like every level of your friendships, now everyone knows that you're dating this person. If it doesn't work out,
right.
You have to explain to all the people that don't even matter.
Right, exactly. All those acquaintances that you just go out with on a random Saturday
what happened
night.
to Mark?
Why do you want to explain to them?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Don't worry about it.
Right, exactly. Right, that's also true. Like now you have to explain yourself to way more people than you needed to. Then if it was just like your besties, they already get it. You don't have to say much.
You already told them all the necessary information.
Right.
So they're already in on it.
100%. 100%.
That's crazy. It can almost feel like a test in some level.
It probably, it is, I would say. It probably is a test.
Scary.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Though I will say, I have had people introduce, like in the opposite way. I don't know if like this is like a fuckboy like red flag situation.
Okay, interesting.
But like I have had, actually, it really only was one person. I think you know the person. I'm not going to say their name, who introduced me to his like best friends, and like I think maybe his sister on the second date.
A second?
It was the second date.
Whoa.
Actually, I think his sister was like the third date. But
still though, like,
right, it was like very back to back, and I think that's like on a whole other level. Like, that's also like that's too soon, too much too soon.
Yeah,
very red flag.
Sister on the third date, you don't even know this person.
Exactly,
that's crazy.
It felt very, very strange.
Oh my.
Yeah. So if that happens, that's scary.
So when you introduce them matters.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think you should like. I don't think introducing your friends too soon, like, or friends and family, I guess, like, but I think there is like a too soon, you know, and that's why I think the first month is kind of, that is when you are qualifying whether you like this person, whether you can potentially see this person in a more serious context, whether like on like some basic levels you are attracted to one another, et cetera. And so then going to the second month, you're like, okay, now I'm going to like, we're going to put each other out into our lives. We're going to like do more things that either one of us do on a more like month. Like this is, I usually go out with these people once every, a Thursday night every month. These are my crew that I go out with. Do you want to come with? Or I go to like what is it? The thing in Hollywood where you go to this, the graveyard place to see the movies, you know? There's like a thing where it's like an outdoor like movie theater or whatever it's at like a Jewish like cemetery in Hollywood.
What kind of crazy?
It's a really massive place, and there's a huge field, and they show movies
where the dead people are sleeping. That's some weird shit, dog. This is why I don't go to Hollywood. Y'all are so dumb. That's crazy.
Well, that's why I don't live in Hollywood. That's for sure.
That's crazy. Yo, let's go see a movie in the cemetery.
It's fun.
Yeah, for coming home with all the ghosts and ghouls
gosh.
And all that crazy. Nah,
they're Jewish.
No, they're Jewish. They're in heaven, right? It's fine.
They're fine.
Okay.
Exactly. Anyways, so yeah, whatever you typically do with your friends or what you do in your day-to-day life, you can kind of start integrating that person into that. Hey, I go to this every other week with my friend. You should come. You go do trivia night every other week. Come with me.
Yeah.
It's kind of, and yeah, you're starting to, it's like the beginning of starting to see like, okay, how is this person going to like integrate into my life?
Good plans.
Very good.
I think another reason why this time period may be anxiety inducing, may be a little stressful, is because you do start to, in addition to the integration into the expectations of where this is going, you do have a certain sense of mutuality, right?
Yeah.
After date 4 and you do the checkpoint, you both are at least on the surface feeling the same way about each other. You guys are moving towards exclusivity.
And you're hopeful.
Yeah, you're hopeful, you're optimistic, and you are beginning the transition from singledom
oh yes
into being a relationship. So you'll start doing like quote unquote relationship things. You'll start defaulting to the natural roles. But whereas in the future, if you guys have the titles, your boyfriend, girlfriend, this is a defined relationship. It's too soon to do those things while maintaining a sense of certainty in the responsibilities that are required because you guys have those labels. So you're starting to participate.
Say that again for me. I don't know if the audience needs you to say that again, but I need you to say that again.
Say what again? What do we say?
I don't think that you just said that whole sentence.
Labels come with responsibility and expectations that are easily fulfilled because the labels come with those responsibilities. Once you start transitioning into this relationship frame, it's more difficult at first because you don't have those labels and you're still starting to expect the same responsibilities that you can't expect because there's no labels. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have the intent, you have the romantic intent, you have the relationship vibe, right? But you don't have the security that comes with actually defining a relationship and fulfilling those preconceived expectations.
Right.
So what ends up happening is you have in month 2, as you start transitioning into this more single, or you start transitioning into this more relationship type of interaction, you start defaulting to this person where you might want to inform him about what you're doing. He might want to know what you're up to, stuff like that.
Right.
But you don't have the certainty. It's a very uncertain. It's a very uncertain time.
It's like in that transition period.
Yeah, it's like it's in literally the transition between uncertainty to certainty.
Yeah.
And the process of going into that.
Right.
And for people, it's one of the most mentally taxing thing to do. Like a lot of the fights and a lot of the interactions that you will have, the disagreements, I'll say, is a direct byproduct of this uncertainty, because you want certain things. You've already, when you're doing the first 4 dates, you kind of have the expectation and you're already guarded against the possibility of the situation failing.
Totally.
You guys have that little checkpoint. The feelings are mutual. You're deciding to continue.
Yeah.
Now you want something from that.
Right.
Right. Now you're expecting a certain thing, but you don't have the guarantee.
Yeah.
So naturally, human nature, your brain is going to try to mitigate all potential risk and try to get you out of that situation as much as possible, as frequently as possible, whenever anything isn't going perfectly the way that you want it to.
Right.
Where a lot of the beauty is the uncertainty, because you're unraveling a person, you're integrating a person into your life, and that is the fun. You guys are, like you were saying, instead of telling like, oh yeah, I do this and this and this, I love this, I'm this type of person, you're getting to see that.
Right. You're showing them.
Exactly. But that level of intimacy, that level of vulnerability starts to encroach on your insecurities. Right, because you don't have the guarantee or you don't have the guarantee yet that this person accepts you for who you are.
Right.
And now you're struggling against that for the entire time period, basically.
Right. And it would be premature to like demand that, because neither party at this point, like you can't like know each other well enough to really give that. And I think that's also why, even though like in that anxiety of wanting that and trying to fight against that, neither one of you know each other well enough to, I would say, even be boyfriend girlfriend, like the Barbie movie. I feel so like silly.
I've never seen the Barbie movie, but I know what you're talking about.
I don't think it's come out yet.
Oh, Barbie movie.
Yeah, the one with Margot Robbie. No. when he says boyfriend girlfriend. But you guys, you don't know each other well enough to, at this point, to even make that commitment. Like you're like not far from it, but you're far from it, right? You're still like, you're still getting to know one another. You're still seeing whether you can integrate one another into your life. So it's like it's necessary to fight against that desire for certainty, because you're still, it's still, understanding that and then taking like the mental step back of just like, okay, like I'm still getting to know this person. I'm still seeing whether we're even compatible and on this new level. Like we're saying, now we're actually trying to integrate this person into our life and like dipping the toe in the shallow end, integrating this person into your life and seeing how that works. And so understand the stage that you're at. And yes, you're excited about this person. Yes, you're hopeful about this person, but we're still at month 2. You still don't know this person.
You don't know them enough to want such a aggressive commitment from them. Yeah. And while the notion is obvious, right? It's understandable even. You will get yourself in, or I guess you won't get yourself, but you'll start missing necessary things in the process if you try to rush through this because you're so stressed out about it. being a certain thing, right?
Right.
Because
right.
I noticed too, especially when a lot of people are talking to me in this stage, we both like each other. We're moving in a direction. We might be exclusive. We're like starting to not see other people. We're breaking off the people that don't matter, this, that, and the other.
Right.
It's the first moment that you're starting to not be single, right?
Yeah.
If you've been single for a certain amount of time, you are still in this single mindset, right?
Right.
You're not used to having to default. And like we were saying last time,
Yeah.
Relationships require a lot. It's all about like what you're going to bring, what you're going to give to the situation.
Right.
You're not doing any of that
Yeah.
when you're single. So when you are transitioning from a single brain, never having to have done any of this stuff, never needing to give anything to anyone but yourself.
Yeah.
And the things that you do give to other people are like your choice. As you start transitioning to the relationship where you need to start giving things,
Yeah.
your singleness will always resist the integration.
Right.
Because of the uncertainty that we were talking about.
Right. Could you give an example? I think like we can like kind of go into that just like a little bit more of like what that transition looks like from like a scenario, like of what that going from like a single, because we talked about like there like you have like little disagreements and not anything. A month 2 you shouldn't be like having some crazy fights because you probably aren't compatible and you should break up if you're like
having meltdowns.
Right,
in
exactly.
month 2,
like
that's
it shouldn't
your answer.
That shouldn't be anything dramatic, but like things of like, oh, I think this about this one thing. Oh, I think that. Oh, we don't like completely align on that. Interesting. Having like those sorts of like disagreements, and how does that apply when you're talking about like transitioning from like a more single mindset to integrating a person and not being single, being in a relationship?
Namely, the easiest way to understand it is you just have to deal with things that you didn't have to deal with before. You have to make adjustments for people that that as a single person you wouldn't have to make. If they don't eat dessert, but you have a sweet tooth.
Oh, I'm still getting that dessert.
You know, like, hey, why'd you say it like that? You're
Don't
getting what? Ma'am?
Don't worry about me. I'm still getting that piece of pie.
But like, let's say like that's really important to you, right? Sharing that moment with a person, ice cream, whatever. It's like, that's such a stupid example, but like you understand like where that nature comes from. Maybe you really like strawberry shortcake.
Right.
And you want to eat this strawberry shortcake with homeboy, but homeboy does not like strawberry shortcake.
Right.
That is like if I was single, I can enjoy this strawberry shortcake myself. But now that I want this person to enjoy this with me, it's like a little bit strained, right?
Or even like, I think maybe a good example from my own relationship. Matt, my boyfriend, is allergic to cats, like really allergic to cats. So, you know, before we were in a relationship, I always like thought about like, oh, maybe I'll get a cat, maybe I'll get a dog. Like, I don't know. Like, I want a pet in the future. Like, I can't afford a pet, but I can't afford those vet bills, but I want a pet, right? So like thinking about that. And then when we started dating and he was like, I'm allergic to cats. I'm like, oh, it was never like, my friends have cats. I really like cats. And I'm like, I never really like, I never had to think about it in the sense of like, I wouldn't be able to have this.
Right.
But if I choose to continue a long-term relationship with this person, that is something that I can't have.
Can't have that cat. That's crazy.
And so you're having, like you said, to make those adjustments for another person that you wouldn't have to do at all if you were single.
And then further down the line too, a very common one that people a lot of the times complain about is the controlling conversation that people have. So it's like,
what do you mean?
If you're going out with your friends, right? This is month 2.
Yeah.
He wants to know like where you're going and like update him periodically throughout the night.
Sure.
You don't have to do that when you're you're single.
No.
But how much are you willing to like do that for a person that you're not as invested in? Like, is that proper to want to know? It's like, oh, I'm doing this. Girl's like, oh, you're going out, have fun. But like, did you get home? All these like little tiny update situations that people
would want. I would hope though that the other person, I feel like month 2, sorry, not to nitpick your scenario,
No,
but to nitpick
As
it.
she nitpicked my scenario, that's fine.
I feel like that would be something that would be odd at month 2 to ask of a person, but it would be one of those things where like if the person you were dating, they had gone out with friends or whatever and like didn't text you or like, because I know that like, you know, at the beginning stages, like I like would, you know, after coming back would like call even be like, hey, I'm drunk.
Yeah,
oh my God.
something like that.
Like, and like talk to them or whatever. I feel like month 2, it's more like if they don't do that, then it feels like a little weird. Like they don't want you, because if I was going out month 2 or whatever, like I usually am asking the person I'm dating, do you want to come with? Like most of the time, you know what I mean? I want them to come with me, but they can't. So I think it's more that. Does that make sense? I just feel like it would be weird if someone's like, can you please text me when you...
I mean, like, it's not
unless it was like just like a cute, like, oh, text me, make sure you let me know when you get home. That you get home okay, that you get home safe. Okay, never mind.
But also it's like, it's weird to like expect it.
Yeah,
but if
exactly.
someone didn't do that with me, if I was dating them month 2, I would feel some type of way about it.
Right. No, isn't that such a funny thing though? It's like, it's one thing that it's like, I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't expect it, but I also would feel weird if they didn't like do it or that like, you know, if they felt weird about me being like, hey, let me know that you got home safe. Like, you know, have fun, like get home safe. Like, let me know if you like need anything or something like that. You know what I mean? It is kind of funny.
I would feel some type of way.
Yeah.
Can't ask for it.
No, right. Exactly. You can't like verbally say like,
get home.
Right. It's like, you are not, why are you?
Too, man,
right. Exactly.
What?
It feels like that way out way too much.
And I think that type of negotiation is a thing that a lot of up and coming relationships struggle with. Yeah. Like what is too controlling and what is just like, I'm just integrating myself into your life and I want to know
consideration of your partner.
Consideration. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What is controlling versus consideration?
Yeah.
Hard to say.
And sometimes can feel like a fine line.
It is. And it's all about how you communicate it, right? Because it's very different to like, oh yeah, text me when you're home. Like, let me know if you get home safe. Versus like, text me like when you get to the bar. Like, what are you doing? Blah blah blah. Like weird calls and stuff like that. Like, why are you so aggressive about it, sir?
So hey, like, what's
up? Are you home yet? Like, come on.
Like, no.
Like neediness versus just like
right,
concern,
right, just like well-being concern. Exactly. Very interesting.
But yeah, so. I see that it's very easy for people once they're in those situations to like, oh, like he wants to know where I am. And like like maybe he's like not expressing it outright, but let's say you don't text him and he knows you're out and he's like kind of off the next time you guys meet, like not like angry or like pissed off, but just like a little weird about it. Right. But it's like one of those weird conversation to have, like I can't really bring this up. Like, it feels weird to feel weird about it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So, it's like something that can't be said, but is like hoped to be like taken action upon.
There goes that optimism all over again.
Right. 100%.
And you'll feel that, and then your habit of being single will start to whisper in your ear, like, why is this dude being so weird?
Right.
And like, I don't really have to deal with this. Like, and like, let's say he even mentions it and stuff like that. It's like, why do you expect me to like contact you about all this stuff? We're not even like doing all this. Right. We're not even that close for me to be doing all that.
Right.
And it's like, is this really a person that I want to be with? And you start second guessing and questioning all those things when it might not be as big of a deal as you are trying to make it to be.
Yeah. I was going to say too, it could also even just be a situation where, you know, you're, like you said, you're getting kind of used to, you're in this starting to be in this transition period of like not necessarily being single, but not being like together with this person as in terms of like labels, where you also maybe you just like also forget. Right. Yeah. So like say in this same scenario, like you go out like, oh, let me know that you get home safe. And you just like forget because you're not used to having to do that with someone and the other person might take it a certain way, but you're having to, and I think that's why like you can then start having these conversations like in month 2 of like, oh, like, yeah, I would love to like when, like, I would love that you let me know that you got home safe. Cause I want to make sure that you're okay, you know? And like, you know, do your thing, girl, do your thing, dude, or whatever.
Do
if you're having
21, do your thing.
Exactly. Exactly. But I just want to know that you like are okay. So
'Cause
that's
I
something that
care
I would
about
want.
you.
That's something that I would want in a relationship or
Right.
when I'm with someone, like yada, yada, yada.
So in this month 2,
Uh-huh.
or maybe this might be more month 3, are you kind of like auditioning for the long-term relationship in a way,
You're beginning to, I think.
right?
100%. Like you're having like, I feel like you're definitely having the conversations of talking about, you know, when you're on those dates during month 2 of like, what is my ideal relationship, basically conversations of like, oh, you know, this is, and those things I feel like should come up like naturally or whatnot. Even if like, say like month 2, and not to say he maybe didn't do this month 1, but month 2, he like brings you flowers and you're like, oh, thank you. And he goes like, is this something that like you really like? Is something that just like in a relationship you would want someone to do all the time? And she can respond with, you know, I actually really don't care that much. I actually prefer this over that. And then that can be like a conversation, or like, yes, I absolutely love flowers. I'm a flower girly, like, you know, all that good stuff.
You know what I think is actually really crazy about that though?
What?
And I was actually having this conversation with a girl last night. These things, when they're communicated, are so difficult to receive. In the sense where it's like, if I have to explain these things to you, I don't want it, type of thing.
Oh, I think that's dumb.
I think that's dumb. Fair enough. I also find it to be a little,
especially
silly.
Like month 2. Like,
yeah, but like
you don't know, and
you'll find that many times people fall into that pattern of not communicating, but having these expectations start to develop. And like we were saying, just this entire thing about that whole like club situation. It's cool if it happens. It's weird if it's communicated, right?
Well, we said it was weird in what tone it was communicated, right?
And I think because of that, most people find themselves just like not communicating it and seeing what happens.
Totally.
And those like unspoken expectations, lack of communication, because they could be weird. You're not trying to ruin, you're not as comfortable with each other to be straight up, oh yeah, this is what it is and this is how I like it. And saying this doesn't ruin it for me because I'm an adult, but that is what it is.
Yeah.
That is the nature of all those disagreements.
Right. Yeah, I think that's so dumb. That 100%.
It happens.
It does happen, but I think like it's I think this is just pretty obvious.
Sure.
How can you expect someone who is a stranger to you, essentially, they are still a foreign being to you at month 2, to know the ways in which, and I think this is funny because we're kind of like, you know, we're just going right into like love languages and like how, and talking about that like during like month 2, right? To expect someone who's still foreign to you to just know and kind of pick up on the things that you like or the things that you want from a relationship. If anything, it's like you're saying, it's trial and error, figuring out what one another likes and doesn't like, and how you want to interact on like a day-to-day level, et cetera, with that person. And those things should just be like explicitly stated, you know, like
I love flowers.
Right.
Buy me flowers.
Yeah, literally. I will still do that with my boyfriend. Well, I'll be like, I want this. I want you to do this more randomly in a car, whatever. I don't care. And if it comes to my head, I'm like, I need more of this. I'll tell him just very directly. He'll be like, okay.
And when he does that, it won't stress you out.
No, because then he starts doing it, and then I love it because I love it, and I love it regardless. And if anything, it shows your partner is listening to you and wanting it. They want to, hopefully, otherwise you shouldn't be with them. They want to show you love, but they're also human, just as you are human.
Right.
And they're not always going to intuitively understand how to do that unless you tell them. And like I said, even for me, 1.5 years into a relationship, things shift and change, and that still needs to be communicated even years into a relationship. But especially there's no foundation that a person is going off of when it's literally been dating for 6 weeks. Come on now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like that's absolute fair. Insanity to me, which is why I think love language conversations should definitely happen.
Yeah. that would probably happen in the first month, but then you start experiencing the reality of said love language in the second month. And like to respond to what you said, more people should think that way.
100%.
More people should understand
that is why I'm here, and I have a podcast. And I'm telling
tell people how to think, literally. Oh man, yikes.
Just kidding. It's starting to get to my head.
Also not kidding. Not kidding at all. But no, yeah, that's super true. That's super true, because I like to think that this whole dance, this whole romance is implied. And the moment you specify and make it really direct, it ruins the romantic aspect of things, right? But I only think that falling into the illusory aspect of romance is only fun and interesting once you're grounded in the reality of it.
Yeah.
So calling attention to the process and what it is doesn't necessarily detract from the experience for me.
Right.
And I find that a lot of people that I talk to, and this is really the disagreement that I have with most people, this is really the fight I have and I've had with most people, especially women that I'm talking to. Like, I would just want things to be clear and stated outright. And it makes them feel so strange about it.
Like the women that you're dating feel strange about you explicitly stating
Like
things.
a very simple example.
Yeah.
No one on online dating wants to call online dating. Like, that is like the most taboo thing for them to talk about.
Really?
It usually is, right? It's like, unless they're older, right? 30-year-olds are talking about like, oh, so like we're on a date, blah, 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 this. And I was telling my friend like we had a date today. And it's very natural, very easy.
Right.
The younger people, the non-committal ones, the like whatever is going through their heads there, it's like you just told them that they were fat and ugly.
Ups.
When you're like,
they don't want to admit that they
like
were...
I really enjoyed our date. Our date? Like, yes, our date? Question mark? Like, what are we talking about? What are we doing here?
Right.
This is not a date. And they get so up in arms about it.
Interesting.
But they want the like attachment and the connection and the energy without actually explicitly stating what you both are doing here. Like, no, I think you're attractive and I'm trying to date you. But once you're dating,
they don't want to say it's a date?
It's too much commitment, quote unquote, for them, or some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
Yeah, that's a huge issue in my opinion.
It's like, come on.
That's like y'all. When people talk about... Little tangent. Not us going on tangents. It's fine. I don't have to edit it, so...
Hey, yo!
This
That's
headache has
crazy.
me wilding. I apologize. When people talk about the talking stage, I hate that. And I understand it too, like, because what we're essentially talking about, like this series, is like what people would probably call the talking stage.
At least
like
for the first couple months.
At least the first couple months, exactly. And I'm just like, no, you guys are dating.
Yeah, dating is dating. Dating is the act of going on dates repeatedly.
And talking. That is what you are
talking. Talking is talking about going on a date.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
It's literally the most infuriating thing to me ever. It irks my nerves. I'm like, why are you so commitment avoidant?
Yeah, right. Like, why can't we define what the process is? Like, I'm not even saying that I want to be attached to you.
Right.
I'm just calling attention to what we're doing.
It doesn't make it like...
I'm not dating you.
Right.
Then what are we doing here?
Right. Literally. Like,
what's happening?
We're talking. I'm like, oh,
I'm too old to be talking.
No, literally. Spare me the bullshit.
Spare me.
Oh my gosh, please.
Oh man, it's a headache for real.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're on the same page about this.
Yeah.
Because that,
I'm glad we
goodness, that stuff stresses me out. It's like, really, the moment I say
me.
anything about like relationship, love, commitment, dating, and you're like running for the hills.
Like, Miss Girl.
But
I wasn't talking about you. Just kidding.
But the moment someone's just like, yeah, I want you, this, that, and the other, and just doing all this stuff, all this fake lies that they're spewing to your ears,
not the fake lies.
You're ready to do whatever they want you to do, and then you're confused when they disappear and ghost your ass.
Damn, not you calling them out.
I'm just saying. If you understood what the situation was before you started engaging in such situation, you would find yourself to be in a much more, what's the word? Not safe, but you would find yourself to be in a much more, a clearer position.
I was going to say, those people probably don't have have not taken the time to understand what they want in a crazy, more in-depth way. And so they're very reactionary and just going based off of like animal instinct.
And dating somehow implies some high level commitment.
Yeah.
Because of the language that Americans use to describe these things. But let's go by definitions. Definitions are so much more important. Dating is dating. It's not that big of a deal. Goodness.
Right.
What else? Oh, love languages is what we're talking about. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I love love languages.
I love love languages. In what capacity? What does that mean?
I know, right?
I love like what?
Well, I love like learning about people's love languages. Okay. I like talking about them with people.
Apparently, love languages don't exist.
You know, I would be upset about that, except that I always think that my love language is all the love languages. So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. No, I was just reading an article about that, how like a new psychologist debunked love language. I didn't read the article, but I saw the headline. I was like, well, that makes sense.
Makes sense. It's like it's all those personality type tests that you take where it tries to put everyone in a box, and it's nice to a degree to help inform how you. Like, it helps start the conversation, I think. I still like having those conversations with people regardless, just because it gets the conversation started and kind of helps guide. Like, these are the categories. Where do you
sit in here?
Exactly.
My theory about love language is actually pretty interesting, right? Because I think that everyone has every love language. Love languages is just love. Right?
Yeah.
There are no languages. It's the same language.
Yeah.
Right. So all of these different components, they're not languages as much as they're just like components of love. And you need all of them to exist.
And you just do some more or less to a degree.
The interesting thing about my theory is trying to ascertain why a person would.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that if you take the test and you have a certain love language, that's a byproduct of the love that you didn't receive somewhere in your life and that you're really craving.
Totally.
So if your love language is gifts, then you weren't given gifts growing up, right? Or you were given nothing but gifts.
I was gonna say, or it could have been the opposite,
so
right?
So that's that is the only thing you know about love.
Yeah.
But in order for a relationship to function, you need a balance of gifts, service, time, physical touch. I never remember the fifth one. Quality time? I said time.
Words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Right? And in a relationship, if you're not getting a certain one of those, you'll crave that from your partner.
Totally. Yeah. No, that's 100% true. That's 100% true.
So that's why I was like, love language is just you receiving love.
Yeah.
But we all need all of it.
I agree. I do think though, like we were saying, in going into like month 2 with someone and having like the love languages talk, it kind of helps give you a like a playbook almost of like how to then start showing that person love, right? And so you can have like that conversation. Like you said, this may be a conversation that you have month 1 of like, oh, well, like, you know, and I always like to ask the question of how do you tend to give love and how do you like to receive love?
Because they're not always the same.
Exactly, 100%. And having that conversation, and then like we were saying, like going into month 2, when you start like integrating the person into your life a little bit more, like that's when those things can be seen, and you can start then showing those things to the person, right? So if they said like, oh, I like little gifts, and then he brings you like flowers on like your next date,
chocolates, or he writes you a little card.
Yeah. Well, that'd be words of affirmation.
But if it's a card, is it not like a gift? Yeah.
Only if it has a song in it.
The gift of what?
You know those cards? It's only a gift if the card has
like
a song.
Big butts in the can. That one.
Yeah, other one.
I've seen those birthday cards.
When the girl walks in with an itty bitty waist
and a round thing in your face, you get sprung.
Yes. Well, there could be that song in there, but also maybe another one. I'm just being funny.
The moment I get to, or the closer I get to you. That one.
Sure.
The closer I get to you.
Is that also a card song that happens?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Anything that's like in the 80s, 90s, they're probably
so true. Yeah, they use that.
You're not gonna hear some new age.
Yeah.
My pussy pink, my booty bright. Like, come on,
no, don't bring that back. Don't bring that here.
That boy's only
we do not need the TikTok songs.
Those shits are catchy as hell.
I already hear them way too often scrolling on TikTok every day.
Good enough. He said it, I'm good enough.
I'm not good enough, and I'm not good enough. I shouldn't have. Oh my God, we're going insane.
Headache days are fun.
I know.
Very interesting.
Yeah, this is interesting.
But love languages.
Yes, love languages.
Attachment styles.
Yes, I think, having those conversations, and you get to start to show and be seen, and that can also be a first test of seeing how much like someone can like listen and then take what you say into action on both sides, right? Like you start to see that, starting in month 2. I think that just at that early on, I think you can start seeing those signs of how well someone can like hear what you have to what you say and take that into action in some regard. And like you were saying, whether they even want to take that into action in some regard is a test of whether this is even a person that like how into you they even are, right?
Right.
Someone who doesn't care as much is not going to like take that time to really do those things. And yeah, you should say your love language because, oh my God, what was I trying to say with that?
It gives people the opportunity to show you that they can show you.
Yes. And back to the point of like, it's dumb to not tell people things and expect them to do them.
No,
that is, if you say it that way, like it's dumb not to. Communicate. If anything, you should be every single thing that you want the other person to do in the relationship, that you want to do in the relationship. Every single facet aspect of it should be verbally communicated at some point.
That way you have an excuse to be mad.
Exactly.
If you say what you want, it's not.
You.
Yeah, right. That's what I tell people all the time. It's like, say it. Say everything once.
Yeah.
And if you have to say it more than once, you have an option. Now you can be upset. I've been told you. How many times do I have to tell you?
Right.
Within reason, right? It's only month 2. Let's be real about it.
It's only month 2. It's like, it is only month 2, but it is month 2. It's still early on, and you should verbally communicate to some degree. You should start verbally communicating to some degree all like those things of like, it does not need to be nearly as aggressive, of course, but just saying like we were saying, like the flowers example. Oh, is that something that you like? Oh yeah, that is something that I like, blah, blah, blah. Or actually, no, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Just, it's important.
It is important. I agree. 100%. We say 100% a lot of the time.
Yeah, we do.
But
I say 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. There's no better way to describe it, but I do realize that we say that a lot. It's kind of interesting.
We do.
I think attachment styles go hand in hand with love languages as a pseudo-psychological science that people use. I don't actually, no, I think attachment styles they have more validity, actually.
Probably, yeah.
Whether you're secure, like you can definitely tell whether a person is going to be secure or anxious or avoidant in this month 2 process, right?
Yeah.
Are you, as you start to integrate, are they pulling away? Do you feel like you want to chase them? You can also like use that as the mirror to see how you're interacting in these spaces as well, right? Don't really have I don't like have a conclusion as to what these things mean. Yeah. I just am pointing out that it's something that can be observed during this time. Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. It's like something to notice it's something to notice. And I think to a degree, and it's not to say like any one of these attachment styles are like villainized in any way, but if maybe you're a person who needs like a ton of validation in a relationship, and you are starting to see in this person, like in month 2 of dating, that they tend to really struggle to give that, or like they have a hard time giving that for whatever reason, they show things in a completely different way. Like that can be something that I think is entirely valid to be like, is this a person I want to be with or not? Because I know I need these certain things, right?
And I think that's a valid like question to ask yourself. And it can be useful in that way. But yeah.
I think that opens up a very interesting concept that I will touch on after I mention this part.
Okay.
Because in this process, right, as you're trying to explore these things, I think it gives you a great opportunity as quote unquote the self-actualized individual to put the things that you've been working on as a single person to the test.
Oh,
right?
totally.
Month 2 over month 1 because of all the limitations we were talking about.
Yeah.
You want the certainty. You don't have the certainty. You have the expectations. You can't act on these expectations. There's no validity in you behaving a certain way.
Yeah.
So what is left if you have nothing from the other side? It's only what you have to give on your end.
Totally.
Right? You'll understand very quickly if you're a person that's ready to give what is required in a relationship or not.
Ah, yeah, that's interesting.
And a lot of the times, and this is the point that I was going to go into, a lot of the times I find that self-actualized people are people who have taken the time and done the work and done all the things that are quote unquote textbook required to prepare themselves for a relationship, struggle the most in this space, right?
Tell me more.
Because back to the people who don't like communicating things and like living in a fantasy.
Right.
When you default to the flow of what's expected of you,
Yeah.
you don't have to think about anything but just moving on towards the next steps. Like, all right, he held my hand. All right, we made out.
Sure.
All right, we fucked. Blah, blah, blah. This, that, and the other.
Sounds really boring when you say it like that.
I mean, that's how it is.
Right. Yeah,
they
totally.
it's more than me too. But
Right.
it's like, that's just the process that people go through. It's like they're just climbing up the steps.
Yeah.
One aspect at a time.
Checking up the boxes.
You know, right? Whatever works. But as a self-actualized individual, you kind of err on the side of wanting a sort of validation for the work that you put in. Right? I spent all this time, I've worked through all these issues that I have. I'm ready to meet someone on my level.
Right.
So I think in that it's useful and it's normal to have a certain level of doubts about the other person.
Right.
But self-actualized people tend to be so rigid in what they require.
Totally.
That they don't allow the space for nuance and humanity.
Yeah.
Right. They basically want a textbook definition of what a healthy individual is.
Right.
And they're not giving a lot of space for a person to just be a person. And a person isn't going to be perfect.
Right.
A person is going to make their mistakes. A person is going to trip as they're running along this path trying to keep pace with you. It's like you guys are both running and now you're trying to run a 3-legged race, but you have to tie the tie between each other at the same time that you're running.
Right. Like you've gotten used to your own like flaws and setbacks and whatnot. So you've learned to integrate that. And so you're okay with that. But it's then integrating someone else's completely different flaws or human mistakes or whatever that they'll make. That is like the part that can be tough to integrate. Right. That's what you're saying.
More to that point too, self-actualized people have their flaws.
Right.
You just are aware of them and they don't seem like flaws to you anymore. But to another person, your shit still stinks, fam. Your shit it still is what it is. And I think that when you are putting so much emphasis on a person being perfect because you're projecting this growth that you've had without really calling or like putting the proper attention to the ebbs and flows of human interaction and not giving enough space for a person to do what they're supposed to do, you rob yourself of the experience once again, right? So if you're checking off boxes, like I was saying earlier, you're robbing yourself of the experience of getting to know a person. If you don't allow the person not to be perfect, you're robbing yourself of a true connection and integration with a human, right? You can't integrate with a person that you can't accept mistakes from.
Right.
And of course, communicating what you want and your expectations will help that along. But if you don't have grace and forgiveness along with that, then you're going to be a very, 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 very self-actualized single individual.
I was going to say, you're going to be very alone. 100%. You're going to be a very alone person.
So, especially in your 20s, I think it's a little more normal for like people to be in a stage of growth. Right?
Yeah, so it's more acceptable. It makes more sense. Whereas when you get to older ages, 30s, 40s,
like why are you 45 and still making dumb mistakes?
Sure.
I'm not. See, no, I have to say what I have to. A little disclaimer. I have no grace for people at a certain age.
For sure.
Me personally, I'm not saying that people can't.
I was gonna say literally the thing that you were saying that, and I think this is probably some scenario that would apply to someone who's in maybe their later 20s, but most likely like their 30s and 40s, are these people who have probably been single for a long period of time and are these self-actualized people, very certain within themselves. They have their habits, their routines, their people. They have their life and their system that works. And then when they try, they've been single for so long, they try and bring in another person. That's when shit hits the fan, it starts falling apart because you're now having to account for someone else's flaws, human flaws or mistakes, or just literal humanness. So that's when that's like usually when those scenarios happen, would you not think? And that's where I think even like where grace is even more necessary to be applied.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
But
I agree with you like 95%.
95? Where's the 5%?
The 5% lies in, there's a big difference between I have my routines and my schedule and you're disrupting that versus you're making egregious mistakes.
Oh, totally.
Right? You can't even
That's
you're
totally
disrupting my
different.
routines. I have to adjust to this versus I have a routine, so I'm not even like paying attention to you. Don't call me between the hours of 9 and 5 because I don't have any time for you. I have a routine.
Right.
Like
at that, do you even want a relationship?
Right.
You're not actually ready for a relationship. You're not willing to.
I mean, call me whatever you want to call me, man.
All right.
There's an upper limit to whatever grace I extend. There's just, in my opinion, there's certain things that people should know at certain ages. Yeah. And if you don't know that, it becomes less of a problem of your environment and what you've been exposed to, and more of a lack of accountability and responsibility on your end for not knowing that, one, that thing's a thing to know, and two, doing the effort to know those things. Yeah.
No, definitely lack of accountability. You're so right on that. There's definitely a limit to it. I agree.
Right. And the limit to me is like a 45-year-old doing dumb things is like, grow up, bro.
Totally.
This is not cute no more.
Right.
But for the 20-year-olds who I have a lot of grace for, it makes a lot more sense. Like, even the most actualized 24-year-old is still figuring out how to be a human being.
Totally. 100%. Right? You couldn't not be.
As I say these things, I'm starting to have grace for the 50-year-olds.
Yeah. I think what I was more so talking about was having the 40-year-old person from their POV having grace for other people, like in their 40s, like they're still like humans, right? And to a certain degree, how much grace are you going to have for a person that you're trying to date or whatever? But I think, granted, I have never been 40. For another 20 years, I will not be, or less than 20 years. But so I obviously cannot speak to this experience in like an actual way. So this is all me saying guesswork. And any 40-year-olds who want to chime in, please let me know if this is like accurate or not. But even like in your experience, like with dating, like older like women, where it's like, they. Like I was saying, you have like your routine, you have your life, you're set in your ways, you know who you are as a human being. And then when you try and integrate someone else, and like you can be a little bit too judgmental of like of other people, because like you're saying, you're the self-actualized person, you're solidified in all your stuff and all that good stuff, and you know who you are, and you expect people to, like you're saying, you don't account for other people's like different flaws and different stuff. And it's like, oh, well, you're this big age, so you should have all these certain things, but like you're still also human, you know, at the same time. Like I saw my mom at 50 years old, like completely flip her life around. You know what I mean? Just because, is that like something, if someone was dating her, like, oh, well, she's 50 and she is like quitting her job and just now starting this stuff and all this kind of things.
I mean, like life changes
right and
are different, but then like
no, but that's
internal things.
I 100% agree. Then that's more so what I'm talking about. Is I think sometimes people, those self-actualized people, can get those two things mixed up.
Right.
Is what I'm saying. Of like the life changes being more so an okay thing versus like, okay, yeah, if you're literally a stunted human being, you've done no self-growth and you have the mind of a 21-year-old
at 40,
exactly, then that's completely different than what I'm saying.
No, I think that's the nuance that's necessary.
Yeah.
Right. Because there is a difference, and to the outside person, like let's using your mom as an example, her shift might have looked chaotic and it made no sense to anyone but her.
Yeah.
Right. But that doesn't mean that she is not mature for her age. It just means that her life was changed.
Yeah.
And the fine line between these things is the difference between plateauing and then understanding that change happens, right? Because some people's, their life is uprooted because they have no ability to change.
Yeah.
Versus my life is uprooted because I'm changing it.
Yeah.
And I think
that's beautiful. That's actually so beautiful, like a butterfly.
Hey, yeah. And I think that change can be chaotic, but if you're the one inciting it, that speaks far more to your ability to understand your situation, ground yourself in reality, and make necessary adjustments for your betterment or for whatever reason you're doing it. You're thinking critically about your life, right? Versus if I got fired and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I hear you.
It really just depends.
Yeah.
But in that depending, it's very obvious to tell which is which.
Which is which, yeah.
And for the people who are just plateauing and coasting through life at 50, 45, don't really have an idea, in the sense that they're not even looking for an idea. They don't know that they don't have an idea. Yeah. Those are the people that I have no grace for. Yeah. Everyone else, I have no template for how life should look. I'm only 20 something. Like what do I know about what life should look? Right. 100%. I just think that you should always actively be searching for something. Yeah. Internal, external, whatever happens. And as a self-actualized person dating another person that's supposedly self-actualized, you should know the difference. Yeah. And it's your responsibility as the person qualifying these things to assess the differences fairly without leaning into the voices that naturally happen based on the uncertainty we were talking about earlier, and based on the little situations that tend to come up because people don't like feeling discomfort. Yeah. And month 2 is categorized by instability and discomfort because you're integrating a foreign entity into your life. And if you want to qualify life as a human body, you have to destroy something in yourself to assimilate new things. And your body will sometimes attack the new things. Yeah. It is intense. And it's really destructive. And it's like, if you want to go microscopic and look at these white blood cells attacking all this stuff, like it's crazy. It's right. Beautiful, honestly. I like it. But like, it's also like intense. Yeah. It's uprooting. It's destructive. Humans resist change. So any change has to be aggressive. And it's like breaking everything that you knew to be true and all the habits that you had before and formulating something completely different. Yeah. But also familiar. And you have to get to the familiar. Right. And you're still not there. Month 2, unfortunately. Actually, fortunately, that's exactly where you should be. That's exactly where you should be. Yeah. Fortunately. That makes complete sense. And it gives you, in that month, it gives you the opportunity, like I was saying, to put your money where your mouth is and be the person that you're supposed to be for the relationship. And by the end of this, like date 8, 2 months, whatever, you should know, and you should be placated in yourself, understanding that this is a person that is worth moving forward with.
Yeah.
I don't think this one requires a definite checkpoint before you move into month 3.
Totally,
I think
agree.
every date that you guys go on in month 2 is a checkpoint. Right?
100%. You're, like we were saying at the beginning of this episode, you are constantly assessing in a healthy way, right?
Yeah.
You are, like you said, putting your best foot forward and also seeing and assessing how your compatibility is consistently throughout month 2. And I agree. By the end of month 2, if there's uncertainty by the end of month 2, I'm of the mind that, usually more times than not, that's like, it's probably, it's not really like a person that you really need to continue on with, right?
In an effort to like not waste anyone's time too.
Exactly.
It's like, month 3 isn't going to make that better.
No.
If you don't this
if
is
you
the
feel
person that I
uncertain,
want.
exactly. If you feel uncertain about how they feel about you at the end of month 2, if that's like still weird, probably not it. And then you can just say, I was the person I dated.
Yeah. You're neither worse or better for it.
Exactly.
It's just an experience. And I don't think that in and of itself is a waste of time. I think it becomes a waste of time if you let that go on longer than necessary.
100%.
Right? So
if you have
I
that in
didn't
mind.
need to stay in that for 2 years.
Exactly.
Yeah,
oh, wow. 2 months to 2 years?
Yeah, right. That's the waste of time.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. So I think that's all we have to say about month 2, right?
I think that about covers it. Yeah, I agree.
No other wrap-up things? You want me to wrap up things?
You were the conclusion and reflections guy.
That entire thing that we were talking about was the conclusion.
That was you concluding and reflecting.
Jesus Christ.
Break the fourth wall. Oh no.
See how easy and that flowed into everything so perfectly.
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
I didn't even notice. I'm good at what I do. Hey, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But anyways, that about pretty much wraps up month 2.
That wraps it up. And next episode, we will be talking about month 3, which we already kind of alluded to, like how that's going to be, what that's going to be about. Stop laughing at me.
No, it's fine.
Guys, we are a hot mess today. I hope you guys gleaned some value from this episode, because we are just such a hot mess.
Hey, yeah, I'm not the one with the headache, dog. That shit's crazy.
Blame it on me. This is fine.
But no, yeah. Month 3 is what?
That's big argument.
Oh yeah, you guys start farting. You guys start fighting. You guys start fighting during month 3. Good God, not farting, but maybe also farting.
Maybe. Oh.
Yeah, we know how you feel about that.
Do not fart in front of your
my recommendation is fart first and fart quickly. Get it out of the way. Get it out of the way. It doesn't matter. The quicker you can cross that boundary, the closer you'll be. We're all humans
hilarious.
at the end of the day. Are we not?
Yes. We are human.
Just humans, and it's just human nature.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you might have to start looking at the man in the mirror.
Yeah.
And then I forget Michael Jackson's song title, so I can't do that anymore. But yeah, that about wraps it up. Wraps up month 2. Let us know how you guys felt about it. Let me know what you guys think about whether or not women approach random people. Random men.
And if that means that they're hitting on them.
Yeah, and if that means that they're hitting on them. I think it does, but actually we both think it does.
Yeah,
but,
we do.
We'll see what the people say, because, man, it started such a fight earlier
Yes.
in this weekend. But anyways, at the end of the day, I'm Jem.
And I'm Renee.
And we're the
Intellectuals.
Signing off until next time.
All right. Bye.